All right, strap yourselves in because we're diving deep into one of those UFO incidents that just stays with you. We're talking JAL Flight 1628,
Oh, yeah, it's this one.
November 17th, 1986. Japan Airlines cargo plane. Experienced crew. Routine flight from Paris to Tokyo. Until it wasn't.
What always gets me about this one, it wasn't just some quick blip on the radar. I mean, we're talking about a whole crew, right? Led by Captain Kenju Tarachi. They saw these objects, these UFOs,
Hmm.
for a long time, not just a glance.
So they had time to really, take it in,
Yeah.
observe.
They did. They even used binoculars. I mean, come on. The detail in their descriptions, it's consistent. It's just strange, man. Strange.
So not just your usual, did I see something? They were pretty sure about this.
Oh, they were sure. They tracked these things for like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
casing their 747. And we're not talking tiny specks here. These things were huge.
Huge, how? Give me a visual.
Think 2 aircraft carriers, end to end. I mean, that's bigger than a football field just hanging out next to a 747.
Okay, that's huge. I can't even. So unidentified is definitely an understatement here. What did they actually look like, these things?
So they described this walnut shape, or like a lens, 2 saucers stuck together almost. And get this, pulsating lights all along the edges, white to orange to red.
Wow.
Not just glowing, like throbbing or something. Gave it this weird, organic feel from what they said.
So they saw all that detail. They must have been close.
Right. And here's the thing. They didn't just hover. These things, they were making these sharp turns, like really sharp, at crazy speeds.
Okay, how sharp are we talking?
Right angle turns, the kind of thing that would rip a normal plane to shreds. And then, just like that, one of them shoots down under their plane, then back up.
Yeah.
Totally impossible angle.
Hold up, I'm trying to picture this. There's no way our tech can do that, right?
It's not even close.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like comparing a horse and buggy to a fighter jet. Some people have these theories about like super advanced engines we haven't even dreamed of. Or maybe warping space-time or something.
Sci-fi stuff.
Totally. But the thing is, this actually happened. It really makes you rethink what's possible.
So what did the crew do? I mean, seeing something like that, I'd probably freak out.
Well, Captain Tarachi, total pro, he immediately tries to contact air traffic control. Military bases, too. You'd think something that big, moving that fast, someone would have noticed, right?
Yeah, 2 aircraft carriers. Not exactly stealthy. So what happened? Someone on the ground must have seen them too.
Well, it's murky. Some say no radar contact at all. Others, they hint that the military did have radar data, but never released it, which, feeds the whole conspiracy theory thing.
Hold on, so there might be radar data that backs up the crew's story, but it's hidden away. Why?
Some say, oh, national security can't let people panic about UFOs. Others, they say maybe the government knew exactly what these things were, but it was too sensitive to reveal.
So basically, we don't know. Classic cover-up situation. It does make you wonder, though.
For sure. And it makes you think about how seriously they took the crew. These were trained pilots, under pressure all the time. To just say, oh, they were imagining things, it just doesn't add up.
It feels disrespectful, almost, like they're not believing these professionals.
Exactly. And that's a problem, because then other pilots, they might not report things, even if they see something really strange.
Right, because who wants to be laughed at? So what happened to the crew after all this?
Well, big media storm, everyone wanted to talk to them. Captain Tarachi, he got grilled by authorities, psych evaluations, the whole thing. They even grounded him for a while.
Wow, that's rough. Imagine going through that just for telling the truth.
It really highlights how we deal with these UFO reports, even from people we should trust.
It makes you think, if it happened to them, it could happen to anyone. And we might never know the truth.
Well, there is one thing. Captain Tarachi, through all of that, he never changed his story. Not once. He even wrote a book about it.
He stood his ground. Good for him.
Yeah. He said what he saw, and he wasn't backing down. And you know what? His story, it resonated. Lots of people, they believe him.
It makes you think, maybe there's more to this UFO thing than we realize.
Maybe. This JAL case, it's like a symbol. It shows how hard it is to make sense of the unknown, even when you have good evidence.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces, and we're left to figure it out. So, what happened to the objects in the end? Did they just vanish?
That's the thing. As the plane was getting ready to land in Anchorage, they just disappeared. Gone.
No explanation. Poof, just like that.
That's what the crew said. 1 minute they were there, breaking all the rules, then nothing. Like they knew they were being tracked and decided to make a clean getaway.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So we've got these huge objects doing impossible things, then vanishing without a trace. What does it all mean?
That's the million-dollar question. To figure that out, we need to look closer at what the crew saw, that radar data, and all the possible explanations. Some mundane, some not so much.
All right, let's do this. What exactly did these objects look like up close? They must have been close enough for the crew to get all that detail. Did they see anything that could tell us where they came from?
And that's where it gets even wilder. What they saw, it wasn't just lights or a simple shape. They described a structure. And even the way these objects moved, it tells us something.
Okay, break it down for me. Give me the visual details.
All right, remember those pulsating lights? They weren't just random. They were in rows along the edges of these huge objects, like running lights almost, but on something way more advanced.
I'm trying to imagine it. So these gigantic walnut-shaped things with rows of lights moving in ways that are just impossible, and then they just disappear.
Yep. Makes you wonder about everything, doesn't it? And that's why this case, it just won't go away. It makes people think, what if there's something else out there? Something we don't understand at all.
Yeah, it kind of makes your head spin. But it's exciting too, right? To think that maybe we're not alone.
For sure. That's why we got to keep looking into this stuff. Even if it's weird, even if people are skeptical, we got to keep searching for answers.
Well said. So where do we go from here? How do we even start to untangle this?
First things first, we got to really understand those eyewitness accounts. Look for anything that doesn't make sense, compare it to other sightings. Then, got to dig into that radar data, see if it backs up the story or not.
Sounds like a plan. I have a feeling this is going to be a wild ride.
You can say that again. So buckle up, everyone. This is just the start of our deep dive into the JAL Flight 1628 incident. We're going to look at everything, analyze the evidence, and hopefully maybe shed a little light on what really happened that night over Alaska.
And who knows, maybe we'll learn something about our place in the universe along the way. Stay with us.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into what makes this JAL Flight 1628 thing so different. I mean, this wasn't just, a glimpse or a blurry photo. We're talking about a long observation, really detailed descriptions. And get this, even attempts at communication.
Wait, communication. Hold up. You're saying they tried to talk to these UFOs?
Well, not like having a chat, but Captain Tarochi, in his report, he mentions changing the plane's transponder frequency. He was thinking maybe if it was military, they'd respond.
Ah, like a signal.
Smart.
And did anything happen?
Get this. One of the objects, it seemed to mirror his transponder changes. Isn't that wild?
No way. That's not just random, right? That sounds like they understood.
Exactly. Like intelligence.
Yeah.
Not just some weather thing or whatever. It really makes you think.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of weird. Okay, so complex situation already, but let's talk about those movements. The crazy stuff they were doing, we touched on it, but the physics of it all, it's mind-boggling.
Right. Those right-angle turns at those speeds, insane. What kind of force would even do that?
It's going to be off the charts, right? Our pilots, our planes, they'd be crushed.
No doubt. The G-forces would be insane. It just doesn't fit with anything we know about how things fly, how engines work.
Okay, so not our tech. What are we left with then? Anti-gravity, warp drives, Star Trek stuff.
Well, some physicists have these theories, manipulating gravity, bending space-time, that kind of thing. But it's all super theoretical, like science fiction.
So we're basically saying it's way beyond us, whatever it is.
100%. This whole incident, and others like it, they make us rethink what's even possible, like the limits of tech, the nature of reality, all that.
Mind blown. So, okay, not from here. Where then? What were they doing here?
Big question, right? Some folks, they think these UAPs, maybe they're alien craft. Just checking us out.
The alien theory. Classic. But if they can travel between stars, those movements, they'd make sense, I guess. Is there anything else, though? Any proof?
Well, got to be careful with jumping to conclusions, right? But the universe is a big place. We don't know everything.
True. Okay, so let's say, just for a second, not aliens. Any other explanations for what the crew saw?
Some people, they say maybe it's a secret government project, like a super advanced plane they're testing out.
Oh, the black budget stuff.
Yeah.
Love those theories. Top secret tech, so advanced it looks like a UFO.
Right. It's a popular one, especially with that whole radar data thing, being hush-hush. But no real proof for that either.
So we got possibilities, but no answers. It's frustrating. But kind of cool too, right?
Totally. Like a big cosmic mystery just waiting to be solved. That's what keeps us hooked, the not knowing, the searching.
All right, so we've got the what, the where. What about the why? Why hang around a regular plane like that? Just curious. Or something more, I don't know, spooky.
Speculation time again. One idea is maybe they're just observing, studying us, our tech.
Cosmic anthropologists. Checking out the weird humans down here.
Exactly. Another idea is maybe they were interested in the plane itself, the cargo, maybe, or the technology on board.
Interesting. Like not just watching, but messing with our stuff.
Could be. But then why? What's the goal?
So many questions. It's enough to make your head spin. But I guess that's the whole thing with UFOs, right? It makes you realize we don't know as much as we think we do.
For sure. That's why it's so important to keep digging, to investigate. Who knows what we might find?
All right, so we've talked looks, movements, theories. But what about the aftermath? The crew, after they landed, what happened to them?
Well, you can guess. Lots of disbelief, lots of skepticism.
I bet the media went crazy. UFOs in a passenger plane, that's headline news.
Oh, yeah. It was huge. Everyone wanted their story, interviews, the whole thing.
So how'd they handle it all? Did they cave to the pressure, or did they stick to what they saw?
Got to give them credit. Their story stayed the same, especially Captain Tarochi. He didn't budge, even with all the pressure from the authorities, the press, everyone.
Sounds like he knew what he saw. That takes guts, to stand up like that.
Definitely, and that's a big reason why this case is still taken seriously by researchers. Their consistency, the detail in their stories, it's compelling.
Even without all the answers, their testimony is important. It shows how important eyewitness accounts are, especially from people like pilots.
Exactly. And it's why, even after all these years, the JAL Flight 1628 thing, it's still so intriguing. It reminds us there's still so much we don't know, and sometimes the most amazing stories come from ordinary folks.
Well, this has been a fascinating look into this UFO encounter, but there's more to unpack, right? We haven't talked about what this means for safety in the skies or the whole UFO, UAP thing in general.
Right. In the final part of our deep dive, we'll get into the official response, what investigations were done, and what this all means for understanding the unexplained. We'll also talk about how awareness of UAPs is growing and what that means for the future.
All right, everyone, stay tuned for the final part of this incredible journey. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The crew's story, those crazy movements, the radar mystery. But now let's talk about how the people in charge reacted. I mean, a UFO sighting with a passenger plane, that's a big deal, right?
You'd think, but the official response to this whole JAL Flight 1628 thing, well, it wasn't great.
Okay, so what happened? Did they admit it was UFO, or did they just ignore it? At first, lots of skepticism. They said maybe it was stars, weather, even that the pilots were tired. The FAA, they did investigate, interview the crew, check the flight data, all that. But their final report, basically they said it was probably just Jupiter.
Hold on. They're saying these experienced pilots, they mistook Jupiter for a giant walnut-shaped UFO doing flips in the sky. Come on.
Right. A lot of people, especially UFO researchers, they didn't believe it. They said the FAA's explanation, it didn't match what the crew saw. Jupiter doesn't just zip around like that.
Yeah, something's not adding up. And what about that radar data? The stuff that maybe backed up the crew's story?
That's the frustrating part. There were reports, right, that military radar saw these objects too. But they never released that data. Some say it's because they didn't want to admit they didn't know what it was. Others, they think maybe it proves something so strange they couldn't tell anyone.
Classic cover-up. It just makes you wonder, what are they hiding?
Right. And it shows a bigger problem, how we deal with the unknown, especially UFOs. Even when people we trust, like pilots, they see something, we still don't believe them.
It's like we're afraid to admit there might be something out there we don't understand. But this happened a while ago, right? Back in '86.
Have things changed at all? Do people take UFOs more seriously now?
Well, actually, yeah. Things are different now. Scientists, the government, even the military, they're paying attention. People are realizing that UFOs, or UAPs as they call them now, they're real. And they could be important.
So no more little green men jokes.
Not so much. Now there are real researchers, scientists, they're studying this stuff. They're using data, new tech, they're talking to the government. It's serious now.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
But back to JAL Flight 1628, this whole thing, it makes you think about safety, right? What if a pilot sees something like this again? Are they ready?
Absolutely. This incident, it shows that we need to train pilots better. We got to teach them what to do if they see a UAP, not just ignore it, but document it, tell air traffic control, stay safe. Makes sense. Pilots, they're like our eyes in the sky. But what about danger? Could these things be a threat?
Good question. We don't know for sure. No one's ever hit a UAP, but there have been close calls that it could be dangerous.
Like crashing, or maybe some kind of interference with the plane systems, or something we haven't even thought of.
Exactly. That's why we got to investigate these things, figure out how to stay safe. It's not just about curiosity, it's about safety up there.
It sounds like this JAL incident, it's really changed how we think about UFOs, UAPs.
Definitely. It's a case that makes us think, what's out there? Are we alone? It's a mystery that keeps us searching.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into JAL Flight 1628. We've looked at the crew's story, those amazing movements, the official response, what it all means for safety, and the big questions about the unknown.
And now it's your turn. What do you think? Was it a mistake, a secret project, or something totally beyond us?
If you're curious, keep learning. There's lots of info out there. Books, websites, documentaries.
The truth is out there, like they say. Keep asking questions, everyone. And until next time, keep looking up.